Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of this tutorial. In the last video, we just finished sewing up the back of the bag and now we're going to move on to making the straps. Let's begin making the straps for our backpack. For this part of the project, we are going to use our smaller hook, which will be the 4mm hook, our accent color yarn, and some stitch markers. So let's get to it. To begin, start chaining 93. One easy way to keep track of the number of chains you have is to place a stitch marker every 10 chains or so. As someone who loses count very easily when I crochet, using stitch markers to keep count really helps. I'm not going to make you sit through me doing 93 chains one by one. So I'll meet you back here with the finished chain so we can begin the next step. Now that we have 93 chains, we can begin the first row. Place one single crochet into the second chain from the hook. Then place one single crochet into each chain until you reach the end. Once you reach the end, turn your work. You should have 92 single crochet stitches. Now let's start row 2. Chain 1 and place one single crochet into each single crochet until you reach the end. Once you reach the end, turn your work and repeat the same process for rows 3 to 6. Once you get to the end of the 6th and final row, fasten off. And now you made your first strap for your bag. Repeat the same process to create the second strap. Here's a small recap of the process. Start with a chain of 93. For row 1, place one single crochet into the second chain from the hook. Then place one single crochet into each chain until you reach the end. Once you reach the end, turn your work. For rows 2 to 6, chain 1 and place one single crochet into each single crochet until you reach the end. Once you reach the end, turn your work and repeat the same process. Once you get to the end of the 6th and final row, fasten off. And I will meet you back here once I have my 2 straps ready to go for us to move on to the next step. Alright guys, now that we have our straps finished and ready to go, it's time to sew them onto the bag. Before we begin, make sure that you have your bag positioned on the back side. Look for the seam on the inside of the bag to make sure. We are going to start by pinning each strap at the top edge of either side of the 2 center granny squares. To pin the straps at the top, it's your choice of either using stitch markers or straight pins. So the top of the strap should be lined up with each corner of the center granny squares like so. Once you finish pinning the top of the straps, you will align and pin the ends of the straps with the last 6 stitches of the center granny squares at the bottom of the bag. So here's a close-up of how the top should look and how it should be pinned. And here is a close-up of the bottom. It doesn't need to be completely perfect, but try your best to just get the straps in the same general position on each side of the bag. Now it's time to thread your yarn needle and sew the straps into place. And for the sewing step, I do like to put a knot right on the beginning tail of the yarn, just so that as we sew through, the yarn doesn't slip through the eye of the needle. So I'm going to begin sewing on the top left strap, but it doesn't matter where you begin as long as you get them sewn on and finished. So after you finish, the top of your straps should look something like this. Now let's move on to sewing the ends of the straps to the bottom of the bag. When sewing the straps onto the bottom of the bag, you want to make sure you're only going through the stitches on the outside of the bag right here. So just be mindful that you're not sewing through the actual square that would kind of pin the bag together. You just want to make sure you're just going through the outside stitches. And there you have it. Now that we've sewn the straps onto the bag, the project is really starting to come together. Now let's move on to creating the drawstring edging. To create our drawstring edging, we are going to be using our larger hook, which will be either the 5 or the 5.5 millimeter hook. Using the larger hook and with the right side of the project facing us, we are going to join with a slip stitch to the top right corner on the back square. Then we are going to chain 1 and place 1 single crochet into each double crochet and chain 1 space until we reach the first strap. Before we continue working our way down to the first strap, I just want to pause here, marker in the first single crochet that we've made. This will be important to come back to later as we are going to put 1 single crochet around the whole top edge of the bag. Now let's continue on. Once you reach the first strap, you want to continue placing 1 single crochet in each stitch through both the strap and the granny square that it's joined to. It's a bit difficult to see the spaces where you should insert your hook since we've sewn the straps onto the bag, but wherever you can find a space to insert your hook should be fine. Spaces such as these, you'll just place 1 single crochet. And once you finish placing one single crochet, the top edge of the bag should look like this. There should be a seamless line of single crochets going over the strap in the first granny square that we have done. So as long as the top of your bag looks something like this, then we should be fine to continue on. Once you reach the middle or the top of the seam right here, you are just going to put one single crochet. And then the same steps that we did for the first strap, we are going to repeat on the second strap, just doing a line of single crochets across the top of where the strap joins the granny square. Okay, now that we've finished placing our single crochets along the top of the straps, we are going to continue placing one single crochet through each of our double crochets and through the chain one spaces on the top of our granny squares all around the bag. As you work your single crochets, there should be 21 single crochets along the top of each square, and there should be one single crochet placed on top of the joining seam between each square. So 21 across and one on the joining seam. And you want to do that all the way around until we reach our first single crochet that we started off with. Before I meet you back at our starting single crochet, I just wanted to do a short demo of how to do the single crochets across and how it should look like once you get to the seam to continue on to the next square. Okay guys, I am back. I just finished my last single crochet on the last granny square right before we reach the first single crochet that we've done. But honestly, I have run into a bit of a problem. For this first round, they want you to have 132 single crochets all along the top of the bag. And I did the method where I counted by 10 and placed a stitch marker just to count, and I only ended up with 128 stitches or single crochets. So I'm not sure how that happened. The first time I made this backpack, I don't even remember if I had the right amount of single crochets along the top in the first round. I think I just eyeballed it. So I mean, this is where your creative intuition and creative liberty comes in. Sometimes you just have to wing it. I'm not one to be a stickler to like follow the pattern to a T. Sometimes I just use my intuition and make what I have work. So if you also ended up with the wrong amount of single crochets along the top of the bag, I think as long as you have an even number of single crochets that you end up with, I think it'll be fine. So we will see. I think it'll be okay. So let's move on to the last part of round 1. So for the last part of round 1, we are simply going to join the last single crochet we did. We are going to join with the slip stitch to the first one. Now let's begin round 2. To begin, we are going to chain 2. So 1 and 2. And we are going to place 1/2 double crochet into the first single crochet. And to half double crochet, remember that you want to yarn over, put it through the stitch, pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Then you want to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that is our first half double crochet. So again, you just want to yarn over, put your hook through the single crochet, pull through. There should be 3 loops on your hook. You want to yarn over and pull through all 3 of the loops. And to continue, you're going to want to place 1/2 double crochet in each of the single crochets along the top, all around the top of the bag, until you reach the last stitch. And before we continue, I will always recommend putting a stitch marker in the first stitch that we've done, just so we know where it is, and it'll be easy to come back to once we've made our way all the way around. So I'll meet you back here once I finish my last half double crochet in the last single crochet stitch. Alright guys, now that we've finished making our way around the top of the bag, it should look something like this. And to end off the second round, we are going to join our last half double crochet with a slip stitch to the first one. Now let's move on to the third round. They call this third round the eyelet round because there are going to be little gaps or little holes that go around the top of the bag where we're going to be able to insert the drawstring that we make for the bag later. So to begin the third round, we are going to start by chaining 3, 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to place 2 double crochet in the same place where we just did our slip stitch on the previous round. So right in this gap right here. So 1 double crochet and 2 double crochet. Then we are going to skip the next 2 half double crochets right here, and we are going to place 3 double crochets into this one. So skip the next 2 and put 3 double crochets in the next half double crochet. As you can see, this is what the eyelets are going to look like all around the bag. So let's continue. We are going to repeat what we just did. We are going to skip the next 2 half double crochet stitches and put 3 double crochet into the next one. So this is what the top of the bag should look so far. And for the rest of this round, you want to repeat the same thing that we've been doing. Skip 2 and put 3 double crochet into the next half double crochet. Skip 2 and put 3 double crochet all the way around the bag. until you get to the last stitch. Once we get to the end of this round, they're going to want us to slip stitch the last stitch that we do to the top of the chain 3. Not the first half double crochet we did, but the top of the chain 3. So to make things easier, I am going to place my stitch marker here so that I can easily find it once we finish, but I will meet you back here once I finish doing my last double crochet. Okay guys, I just finished doing my last 3 double crochets, and now the top of your bag should be looking like this. You should have these triangular holes all the way around the top of the bag. And as I said before, to end off this round, we are going to join the last double crochet that we did to the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch. Now let's move on to round 4. For the 4th and 5th rounds of making the drawstring edging, the instructions are going to be the same. So to begin, we are going to chain 1, and then we are going to place 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. Once you do your last single crochet, you are going to join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet that we do. And now that we've reached the end, we are going to join with a slip stitch into the first single crochet that we made. And we are going to repeat the same steps for round 5. We are going to start off with a chain 1 and then place 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around the bag. And once you reach the end, you will join with the slip stitch to the first single crochet we just made. So once I've finished round 5, I'll come back here and check in with you guys. Alright guys, so I just finished my last single crochet, and to end off this round, we are going to slip stitch to the first single crochet that we've done. And now to complete this part of the project, we are going to fasten off. And that's it, guys. We have just finished doing the drawstring edging for our bag. And I think mine came out pretty good, even though I didn't have the precise amount of stitches along the top. I think it came out great. So, as I said before, if you didn't have 132 single crochets in the first round, don't fret, because the outcome is still beautiful. So now we should have our bag straps on and the drawstring edging done. And look at your bag. Take this time to just take a little bit of a break and just appreciate all of the hard work that you've done. Like I said before, I know this project isn't A quick and easy one, but the end result is going to be so worth it. But before we even get to the end of this project, just take this time to be proud of yourself. Like, look at all this work you did. It's beautiful. And so guys, this is the end of part 3 for this tutorial. In part 4, we will finish creating this bag by making the top flap, the top edging, the back loop, and the drawstring. Thank you so much to everyone who decided to watch this tutorial series and make this project with me. I appreciate all of you who subscribe, like, and leave wonderful comments on my videos. So until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, and keep being creative. Bye!